More than 1 million people in the United States are living with HIV. We are your family, friends, and others that you love. HIV does not define who we are. When you support us, you make it easier for us to live healthy lives. We all have the power to stop HIV stigma.
Inc. and SOS annual event. We're so glad to have you. Truly, this is a wonderful time to really be just alive, alive. But I want to thank you all on behalf of our organization because in the month of March, we're not only celebrating Women's History Month, but we're also celebrating today one of my heroes, Harriet Tubman Day. But most importantly, we're here tonight because we are recognizing March 10th as National Women and Girls HIV AIDS Awareness Day. It's a day to raise awareness about the impact of HIV on women and show support for women with HIV. I am just really grateful that Sisters for Sisters over the past 15 years have made it one of our primary signature services to discuss this HIV virus in our community. And during this pandemic, a lot of people are really saying the words, stay safe. Well, tonight we want you to stay safe as well. I'm just honored to have as really the volunteer director of SOS, Maggie Lewis, and she is going to lead us tonight. We have some outstanding guests and speakers, but before we tune in, I want to show you a little bit about what we're doing here for Women and Girls HIV AIDS in the DMV.
Someone no one can rule.
As you can see, we are very, very committed to really, really making an impact and making a difference among women and girls in our community and around the globe, and to remove the stigma. I want to thank you all again for joining us this evening, Sisters for Sisters Inc. and SOS Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Day. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to a woman who's been very, very pivotal in helping this mission grow higher and make a greater impact. And that's none other than our sister Maggie Lewis. Maggie, welcome and thank you again for all of your dedication and your commitment to this cause. Maggie?
Okay. Thank you. And thank God for the opportunity to serve in this capacity for all these many years. I was looking at some of these pictures and wow, it's been the weight and the non-weight. We look different one day and different the next. But the important thing is that we're still here. And I want to thank, I see a lot of new names in the participant list, and I want to welcome all of the new partners who are serving the PG County, all the people who may be calling in from North Carolina that I was on with them today. Want to welcome you all. And this is how it has to be done. We all need to work together. We all need to participate in each other's programs to see where we are and how we can help each other. So without anything else to say at this point, I'm going to welcome our in-house pastor, and I'm probably calling her the wrong name but anyway, this woman of God, Reverend Dana Mitchell-Oles, to open in prayer.
Mother, Father God, we humbly greet you and give you thanks and praise for this day. We don't take it for granted that you've given us the breath of life. We ask that on tonight you would increase our awareness and help us to show true and unconditional love one to another. Supply our every need and heal us in our bodies, mind, and spirits as we work together to save our sisters, knowing that when we save our sisters, we impact the entire world. And we will be careful, Lord, if you grant us our prayers or when you grant our prayers, to give your name the praise. You deserve the glory, the honor, and the praise. Amen.
Mama Maggie, you're on mute.
We're going to start a little different tonight. We're going to have a draw and relax. Daryl Johnson of Scorpius Designs has a ribbon that has, now he done really added that Scorpius swag to it for sure now. How us non-artists, us amateurs going to get that, but we're going to do our best. But Daryl is going to tell us a little, he's an artist. He's going to share a little bit about how art and drawing or painting can actually ease some of the anxieties and that we're experiencing during this pandemic, and not only through the pandemic, but just through life, period. Art is power. So Daryl, come on down. Is Daryl unmuted?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry I got a mask on inside, but this past Sunday I had a problem with a piece of chicken, so I can't show my face like I would love to. But nevertheless, I wanted to talk a little bit about art. I actually drew this in the midst of the introduction. I had a piece before, but I was like, well, I want to kind of show an abstract interpretation of women involved with the ribbon. So I just added a female face inside the middle, added some texture of the hair within the ribbon, and just this is it. Boom. Now, the whole thing, I'm an abstract artist. And one thing about abstract art is perception, meaning that it doesn't actually have to look like what well, it looks like how you feel it should look. The whole idea about abstract art is to convince the other visual people to see it. It's called visual language. And visual language is basically being able to interpret it through art so that everybody understands. You understand it, I understand it. Even though it's not so much detail or profile art. So basically tonight, the whole idea about the ribbon was just something easy to get everybody started with for those who are beginning drawers. I started drawing actually ever since I was a little kid. I'm a big comic book fan. So in the midst of during the pandemic, it was kind of easy for me to utilize drawing as a way of relief and stress because not being able to go out and not being able to go and socialize and everything, that made me very, very stressful. And one of the good things about art and drawing, I was able to put all that frustration on paper and canvas. And one thing about being inside for many months, and some of us are inside for almost a year now, because tomorrow would be a year when I first went inside for the pandemic, March 11th. That was the day, and I didn't come out till like May 1st or May 3rd. But other people are still inside. So imagine if you were inside and spending all that time drawing and sketching. You could actually, by the time you look around now, have enough work for an exhibit or a showing, things of that nature. Even if it meant doodling and sketching, I have pads all over the place. So in a sense, I have, you can start with 5x8 sketch pads. This is a 8.5 by 11. If you feel bolder, you can go up to a 9x12. But the great thing about abstract art is the fact that you don't necessarily have to utilize the whole paper. If you made it small enough over here and you said what it is, as long as you could convince your other viewers that that's what it is, that's what it is. That's what the whole idea about perspective is. So when it comes down to relieving stress, it's kind of easy because you don't have to be like this detailed artist to kind of relieve the stress within the paper that you want to kind of just get rid of. You know what I'm saying? Even if it meant just taking a pen and screaming and zigging and zagging across the paper, you relax for a minute and come back and add some circles and some squares in it. And guess what? It's abstract art. You know what I'm saying? And it could be called anger, frustration. You know what I'm saying? And now as long as other people feel that expression, we're all on the same page. It's kind of easy for me to kind of explain it for you because I'm a sportswear designer as well in my day job, and I do graphic art for commercially. So the whole idea is if one person understands what you're expressing, then you have two people who are like-minded. If you have 100 people that can see within the scope of your artwork, you have 100 people that are like-minded, and so on and so on. So going back again to the stress, HIV, HIV and stress don't work. I know that personally. Being HIV positive, it does not work. So the whole idea is things like this, art form, sketching, painting, charcoal, sketch drawing, it helps relieve stress. It helps get rid of all the fears, but you're concentrating on something else. And you're concentrating on putting how you feel on something else, like be it paper, canvas paper, wood. Some people like to work with clay. You know what I'm saying? They like to paint on clay or even sketch and pen and ink on clay. Any kind of textile that you can kind of get your hands in and get your mind away from something that helps relieve stress. It may bring your T cell level back where you need it to be, as well as everything else you do to keep yourself alive. So, yeah, basically the challenges for tonight, for those who wanted to get involved, is to draw a ribbon. And because it's actually representing Women's Day and Women's Month and International Women's Month, all in this month, which is wonderful, I put a female face to make it distinctive because there are males who have HIV as well. But this design definitely distinguishes the fact that it represents females within the age ribbon. So, yeah, that's the challenge for tonight. I hope everybody else will join me who's watching. And I'm sure, Maggie, you're going to come back to the picture so they can at least get a guide in regard to, okay, cool. And I'll tell you what, this is up for grabs.
Okay, I was just going to say thank you so much for participating and thank you for your transparency regarding your status. So you're really at the right place at the right time.
Thank you.
You know, and being able to share from a personal experience, you know, it just puts it all together. So thank you.
You're welcome.
To my little adopted brother.
It's my sister Charlotte too.
Oh, yep. So, yep. We all love Daryl.
All right. So, y'all, I'm going to leave it like this, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now, our mistress of ceremony, my angel. That is how I always introduce her because she is my angel. Ever since I met her maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we worked together at a program in Kentland. She and I have become more than friends ever since. And I'm going to tell you how much an angel she is. Now, I thought I had actually confirmed her. And I told Sister Carol and I did. But turns out somewhere along the line, I didn't because we couldn't find any emails. We do talk on the phone from time to time, but I don't even know if we did it that way. But guess what? She's here. She canceled something. Now, that's an angel for you. And I appreciate her for that. But more than that, I appreciate and love Angel because she is an angel. Her spirit looks out and looks over everyone. You see that through the work that she does for how she cares for people. So, my angel. So here is our MC for tonight, Miss Angel Brown.
Thank you for such a beautiful and loving introduction, Mama Maggie. You had me over here teared up, and I'm like, oh no, don't cry.
Well, you know what you got to do, okay?
I want to thank you all for inviting me to MC tonight. You know, Sister4Sister holds a very special place in my heart. You're the first organization I worked with when I was over at Heart to Hand. And so, you know, anytime that I can come back and support and work with you all, I'm willing to do so. So thank you again so much for inviting me to MC tonight. So we have a lot of really great speakers for you all tonight. We have a jam-packed agenda. We are going to have a message from Reverend Dana, Woman to Woman, and she will walk us through an HIV 101 presentation. Then we're going to have some spoken words from the marvelous Miss C. Etta Powers. We will have our sister Erica Smith speak from Sisters Survivors Speaks. We're also going to have a picture check-in for any of those brave souls who are going to take part in the sketching and crafting activity tonight. And then we're going to hear from Miss Sharon Coker. Hello, Miss Sharon. It's so good to see you here tonight. And Sharon is going to talk to us. She's from Woman to Woman and going to talk to us about prevention and treatment. And then we're going to have Miss Rael Johnson do some spoken word for us. We're going to have Miss Angela Vick. Hello there, Angela. Sister Survivor Speaks for us. And then we are going to have an opportunity for those of us who are rocking our red shoes to stand up and share or show our red shoes on camera. And we'll end with some closing remarks from Sister Carolyn. And before we get into the rest of the program, I had a special message for folks tonight. I know that tonight we're here having couch conversations, and after tonight's event, we encourage you to continue to have these kinds of conversations with your friends, family, and loved ones. In addition to talking to other people and having these couch conversations, be they virtually or in person, we also encourage you to have a couch conversation with yourself. We encourage you to sit with yourself and get to know that self a little deeper, right? And we invite you to sit with yourself in a couch conversation because there's power in knowing that self. There are 4 things we want to remind you of in the sitting with self and having a couch conversation with yourself. when you go to the couch, be it your real couch or be it your bedroom or in the tub, wherever you like to sit and ponder, think about your motivations because they dictate how we move in the world. Think about your values because they inform how we behave in the world. Take time to explore what it is you really need now in these moments at this time. What do you want from people in your world, the people around you? Is love, safety, support, encouragement, celebration. Like get in touch with some of those deepest desires. And lastly, think about what you believe because it's going to inform, and it does inform what we believe informs our experiences in the world. And there's some beauty in couch conversations with self. So as you listen to the conversations and the speakers tonight, think about what kind of conversations you can have at home with your loved ones, having couch conversations, but also we really strongly invite you to have couch conversations with yourself. And then since we've been given this great information about using art as a way for healing ourselves and soothing ourselves, you can journal your answers in your personal couch conversations, or you can draw them out, right? So that's my bid for you all for tonight. We want to take these conversations beyond this space, this circle, this evening, have them with our loved ones, but most importantly, have couch conversations with yourselves so we can get clear about what it is we want and need in this world, right? So we can start making decisions that will help us do the work that we say we're here to do, which is to end stigma and at some point end the spread of HIV. So thank you all for being here tonight. I'm excited to invite to our proverbial stage Reverend Dana. And Reverend Dana is going to do a HIV 101 presentation for us.
I began pastoring in 1986. HIV, saw how firsthand how HIV impacted women very early in my ministry. I had a woman who was an intravenous drug user who had HIV, and I had women who had HIV and left babies in DC General Hospital early on. In 1994, I stepped out on faith and I said, I have to become an HIV/AIDS educator. And from there, I began to develop interventions and prevention strategies and provide services. And I'm in it to win it. So in order to win, you got to do whatever it takes to win it. One of the things that we do is provide straight talk on prevention. And our focus is on ending the pandemic. We say ending the epidemic, but we know that HIV/AIDS is actually a pandemic. And it is significantly impacting women. So during this brief presentation, I just want to talk about your knowledge or do some knowledge on HIV prevention, making sure that you know how HIV can be, how you can get HIV, and then how you can treat HIV. Just want to touch on that a little bit, and what we can do as a community to stop the pandemic. Ending the epidemic is going to take prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and a community response. It's not just the individual situation. We're all in this together. First of all, we need to know how HIV is transmitted. HIV is spread through blood, semen, pre-seminal fluid, they call it cum, pre-cum, vaginal fluid, and breast milk. We need to understand the risk of different sexual activities. I'll talk about some of those sexual activities that have the higher risk in just a moment. But we also need to get tested. We must know what our status is. And that's not a one-time thing. And we need to know how we can protect ourselves and practice safer prevention practices, using condoms and abstinence, whatever it takes. And I know that abstinence, as you get, and I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can. It'd be different periods in life. I know that abstinence is just not, especially when you're married, abstain from sex? No. But anyway, I digress slightly. Prevention involves never sharing needles, not having unprotected sex, getting tested regularly, and taking measures to reduce your risk. And I've talked about risk a few times. Risky activities include sex. Sex is risky business. There is 4 different types of sex primarily that are the most riskiest. I mean, getting tongue-tied talking about sex, you have to forgive me. I'm in a safe space and I can talk about sex, right? The preacher can talk about sex.
Yes, okay.
Receptive anal sex, insertive anal sex, receptive vaginal sex, and insertive vaginal sex, as well as oral sex, all sex, risky business. All these modes of having sex is risky business. After you have focused on prevention and getting the knowledge regarding how you can get sex, and you have participated in HIV, after you have understood how you can get HIV, the next thing you need to do is to get tested. Who should get tested? Everybody. Everybody between the ages of 13 and 64 years of age. And I don't see that really, this is what the recommendation is, but if you're having sex beyond 64, you still should continue to get tested. I am trying to reduce my screen so that you can see so that I can see. Getting tested for HIV should be done at least twice a year. It depends. Getting tested for sexually transmitted infections is also important. Having STIs can increase your risk of getting HIV. There's a window period that we talk about when we talk about testing, and it's the length of time between your exposure to HIV and when HIV actually shows up. If you get negative results, then you come back in 3 months and you get tested again. And if you think you've been exposed to HIV, you should see a doctor within 72 hours. And the doctor may be able to give you what we call post-exposure prophylaxis, is basically drugs that can help reduce your risk of infection if you get to treatment within that window period. There is no cure, but you can stop the damage that HIV can cause. Starting and staying on medication is very important. Today's treatments are easier to take, and it often involves taking maybe 1 to 3 pills a day. And these pills today versus years ago are causing less side effects. this treatment that we're encouraging people to get when they find out that they are positive will lower the amount of the virus in their body. It lowers the chance of them passing on HIV. It protects and repairs their immune system, and it reduces the chance of them getting other diseases and allows them to live a healthier life. The question is, how are you responding? And how will you respond? How have you responded when it comes to HIV protection, being protected or preventing HIV? You can do it on a personal level by making sure that you don't get HIV. And if you do get HIV, by being responsible and encouraging other people to get tested. You can know your status, but if you don't know your partner's status, then you don't know enough to be able to prevent HIV, and you won't be able to respond accordingly. The bottom line, sisters, is we are called to be our sister's keeper. I want to just share with you a few facts and then I'll be finished. HIV impacts women, African American women or women of African descent, in a way that just boggles my mind at this point in time. I'm going to be honest, because of the high rate of infection. African Americans are still supposedly 12% of the population in the United States. However, 1 out of 40 African American men are getting infected, 1 out of 20, I'm sorry, and 1 out of 40 African American women are getting infected, especially when we get down to the nitty gritty and the statistics in the DMV. It actually matters where you live when you look at your risk. Your risk of infection is greater in certain areas throughout the country. I know that I was going to talk about prevention primarily because I trust that my sister Sharon Coker is going to talk to you in depth about treatment. We have to work together to help ourselves and each other. We're all in this together. Working together to save our sisters.
Thank you, Reverend Dana. Thank you so much for that good word tonight. And we are indeed our sisters' keepers. I appreciate that. We're going to have some spoken word now from C. Etta Powers.
Okay. Let's first check to see if there are any questions. Does anyone have any questions they have for Reverend Dana? You can put them in the chat. Okay, I don't see any. Okay, let's move forward.
Thank you.
I want to thank you again for another invitation to this very worthy organization. I really appreciate it. I tell you, every time I listen to Reverend Dan Mitchell, she is just awesome, and we'll be together on Friday, I'm sure. I would like to, Daryl, you were out of sight. You know that. You know how I feel about you. And Angel, you're great. All of you are. Maggie, certainly. And thank you very much for inviting me again. Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, I'm going to do my thing. And I want you to know that this poem really speaks to your empowerment. You have the power to tell people what can happen and what cannot happen to your body. Just like you tell people today, I don't want you in my presence without a mask. You can tell your partner, I don't want you touching me unless you cover up. So it's called my thing thing. Let them know that this is my thing thing. That's your thing thing. So go cover up your wang wang. If you want some of my thing thing, tell them. If they want some of it, they best go cover up their wang wang. Now, I don't know where your wang wang's been, but I do know it ain't touching this skin. Now, you can buck all you want, but see, the powers ain't chancing no bad luck. And my thing thing, it ain't no waste truck. So if you want to do the wild thing, make haste. Go cover up your wang wang. And then I have a jingle that goes to that. Now, again, remember that let people know you have the power to say what happens to your body and how you want to do it and when you want to do it. You don't let people dictate to you. This is Cover Up. This is the jingle to my thing thing. I'm not a singer, but I'm going to try and do the best that I can. I'm a speaker, not a singer. Cover up your wang wang. Cover up your wang wang. Men should cover up to show we have a clue. Us women can cover up too. Cover up for health's sake, everybody. Cover up for health's sake, everybody. Cover up. As that. So the last poem is called Nosophobia. Nosophobia. And this is what usually happens after someone has become infected with HIV. So we want to talk about prevention so that this does not happen. Nosophobia, a diagnosis that leaves many scared, dazed, perplexed, an acronym that once meant a certain depth, AIDS, stigmatized, ostracized, traumatized. And whom does one confide? For heaven's sakes, I didn't ask for this. My heart's shattered, mind torn into bits. Don't shun me. Instead, comfort me. Don't stand in judgment of me. Instead, comfort me. Stop blaming me. Instead, comfort me. Take me off the shelf and educate yourself. I'm already traumatized, can't you see? Why no sympathy for me? By the way, it ain't like it used to be. Modern medicine has come a long way. Today no longer means doomsday. So you can hug me, it's okay. Caress me, and even make love to me. But hey, before we go any further, let's take a brief intermission to minimize the potential for any transmission. That's nosophobia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you, Sister Sienna Powers. Your name is so the code. Those three pieces were so powerful. I am going to be walking around singing "Everybody Cover Up" the next few weeks. Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we're going to have some words. Sister Survivor Speaks. Miss Erica Smith. Miss Erica, can you hear us? Mama Maggie, maybe text her to see if she's still available, and I'll
Yeah, I saw her name.
Yeah, I think she might have fell off. I saw her as well.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'll proceed, and then we'll come back around to her when she gets back on here.
Okay.
So in this moment, I just want to take a quick pause to see if we have any brave souls who have started crafting on the paper. Anybody start drafting a work of art? And if so, can we see where you are in process? Okay, we got one from Maggie.
It's so weird.
Almost like the bow is her hair. I like that. That looks a lot like Daryl's. Now, Miss Sharon, were you pulling up a piece of paper to show? It looked like you were about to.
I'm about to get started. I got next round.
Then that might be a perfect segue. Okay, well then, if there's no one else, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Sharon, who's going to give us woman-to-woman presentation on prevention and treatment. Take it away.
So, hello, angels. Good seeing you again. And thank you, Carol and Miss Maggie, for the invite to be a part of this couch conversation. Woman to woman, treatment and prevention. We have been fighting this fight for close to 30 years now. And so it takes more than just the hoity-toity facts. It has to be a conversation such where there's warmth, the sofa conversation. And we need to talk to everybody. Everybody has potential to acquire HIV. And so woman to woman treatment is prevention. My name is Sharon Coker, Executive Director of SOK Health Services, and we are located in Lanham, Maryland. Some of the services we provide, the psychosocial support groups, men and women, first and third Wednesdays, second and fourth for the men. And we have a new group called Underground DMV, and this is for the high-risk negatives. There's no conversation off the table because we realize we have to meet people where they are. And so some need baby steps and some need some hard conversations. But what you won't do is walk away from that conversation with that, why did I spend my hour worth of time? You walk away and say, wow, I've got to do something differently. And so we also offer rapid HIV screenings. We are a group that meet the people where they are. So it's not really important where my office is located, because if you're at the laundromat, if you're at your dentist's office, if you're at the nail salon, if you're in your yard and want to get tested, we will meet you there. Because it's important to make people comfortable when they're about to find the results of that test. Early intervention services allows us to be in these presence right now to have these conversations. And everything starts with a conversation. You need to build people's trust. They need to know that when they come to you, that whatever question, concern they have is not a silly one. We won't judge it. We will only be there to have active listening ears and respond to it that'll be beneficial to them. And so that's where the PrEP and PEP referrals come in. We do not provide PrEP at our location, but we connect with community partners who that they're just a phone call away. And mental health referrals, it's important because as people go through this life change right here, they need support. It may be more than just a support group with other people because they've got to come to grasp as what's going on with them first, accept it before they can move on and maybe share with their family and friends. Next screen, please. So let's define the prevention. What is prevention? And I've learned that we as providers, we know the lingo. We know the language because we talk it every day. But what about the common person on the outside? We have got to break things down to where a person, I would say on a 4th or 5th grade level, is show and tell. What did you learn in school today? How can I take that information home and tell the person at home, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, grandma, hey, aunt, uncle, hey, my boyfriend, hey, my husband, hey, my lover. This is what I learned today. This is what I have to do differently. So prevention, it's the action of stopping something from happening or arising. And that's why we're here, to make sure moving forward, as we have our voices to share this information, that we can prevent some woman, some daughter, some grandmother, some mother from acquiring HIV moving forward. So there's 3 ways to prevent HIV. I had a director in the past says HIV is preventable, and it truly is. 3 ways: abstinence. It may be a religious thing. It may be a moral value thing, a cultural thing. But if no one is having sex, we wouldn't have STIs. We wouldn't have HIV. There would be no pregnancy because no one's touching each other. But we know we don't live in that world today. So let's talk about condoms. Do not put that responsibility on your partner. Again, do not put that responsibility on your partner because you may be allergic to some latex. You may not like the different spike ones. So be creative. Go and shop for yourself. Again, you are responsible for your actions. So if you don't want to acquire HIV, a pregnancy, a STI, what are you doing to prevent that from your standpoint? Because it's your responsibility of what comes in and goes out your body. And then there's PrEP. PrEP's been around for 8 to 10 years. But this brown community, we're not listening. We're not hearing it. And the only time we hear things is when we're affected by it. And so PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. And so what it does, I'm kind of visual learner here. You have your white blood cells. This is your immune system. I kind of use this. And what PrEP does, it coats it. For women, you take the pill for about 21 days. And so if you are involved sexually with someone who is fully blown, the chances are you getting it is probably slim to none. Nothing's 100%, but with the PrEP medication, it covers your white blood cells where it will not be attacked by the virus, what will replicate that looks like this here, but you're safe. So we encourage persons who are wanting to get on medication, talk to your provider. Tell them, because actually your providers probably know your body better than you do. If you have your yearly checkups, they go from head to toe. So this is the place where you should have that conversation. You know everything about my heart, my liver, my kidney, my glucose levels, my 501c3, A1C. Why not talk about my sexual health? And if you're not comfortable with that provider, then this is the chance for you to find another provider who you can be your authentic self. Because you're going to these persons for help. If you're in pain, you want them to fix it. But if you're scared to talk to the provider, then you should move on to another provider who you can be open with, honest with, and get the help you need. Okay. So I guess I've just talked about how PrEP works. For men, you can take it up to 7 days when it's in your system. For women, again, cisgender women, 21 days. In your system. And the good thing about PrEP, if you start it, that's great. If you stop it, no harm, no foul to the body. If it's a concern about cost, there's a lot of programs out there from the pharmaceutical companies that will help you pay for it. So you can't say, I can't afford it. It is affordable. There's a lot of agencies out there with coupon cards, with pharmaceutical companies out there with coupon cards that it will not cost you a dime if this is something you want to get on. And then this kind of helps a female, a woman, or anyone actually, if you're afraid to say, hey, honey, I want some. But can you put that condom on? Because some of us, we don't communicate. We'll share all this, but we're afraid to ask that one question. Can you put a condom on, please? And when we get to that point, at least you know by taking PrEP that covers up protects your white blood cells, the chance of you get it, you don't have that risk of acquiring HIV in that chance. So with that being said, next screen, please. We've learned that you got to be creative when talking to people. It can't be all book stuff, because then you start to sound want. You got to be creative with it. And now that we're in this pandemic, we are now forced to do everything virtual. You got to have fun with it. We shouldn't wait till our children in high school to have this conversation. We shouldn't be afraid to talk to our grandparents who are in these senior places, because as people are people are warm-blooded, people need to be touched on a daily basis. And if you're not willing to reach out to your family ones, loved ones in these senior places, trust and believe someone is touching them. And they're spreading love, not the right love, but they're spreading something to our seniors. I see Angel shaking her head. You're like, yep, We know this. But we know this within our own network circle. And so I challenge providers, I challenge everyone, get out of your comfort zone and talk to someone who has no clue or you have never had a conversation about sex with. You'd be surprised. They're probably like, wow, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And until we have more of those conversations, HIV will be around. Pharmaceutical companies have done their best to get the best medication out there, to make it convenient. They're down to 1 pill a day now. There's talks of doing injections now. So what else is there to do other than communicate and have those conversations with everybody out there? And so the Sharon Show came about a year ago in ways that we can have this as a family conversation or a one-on-one conversation when you are yourself, but this way it makes it humorous, but it's serious conversation. And so tonight I had a few questions that I pulled from the Sharon Show. And there, if you go to our website, I'll show the end, but there's other shows we have on there. But the first question I'm going to ask is the 3 ways to prevent from getting HIV. A, next screen, please. A, abstinence, water, or the pull-out method, which some people still believe. B, abstinence, prayer, or the Ziploc bag. Or C, abstinence, using condoms or PrEP. What are the 3 ways? C. Everybody agree with C?
Yes.
Absolutely. But as we giggled when we saw the pull-out method, how many people today still believe the pull-out method works?
I'm too old. I had forgotten all about it.
In fact, Reverend Dana said that in pre-cum, there's blood in this pre-cum. And as long as there's blood, there's an HIV virus could be in that blood. So the pull-out method doesn't work. You haven't got started yet. So we have to squash these myths and these things that people have believed for years, but it all starts with conversation. So the next question, PrEP stands for A, pray, relax, exercise and party. B, post-exposure prophylaxis. Or C, pre-exposure prophylaxis.
It had to be C. C.
C, number 3.
Yeah.
C.
Absolutely.
A.
Who said A? Who said pray, relax, exercise?
You said we gotta have fun.
This lady, girl. See, and a lot of people pray, oh Lord, I done done with that man, that woman, what I'm gonna do the next day? And they're praying and they're worrying, and they come to a lot of agencies like, please tell me the right answer. And as providers, we say, you know what, today you may get your free pass of what you did last week, last month. But if you keep doing what you're doing, one day we're gonna tell you a different response.
Yeah.
And so the answer is C, pre-exposure prophylaxis. The next question, who should be taking PrEP? A, single women. B, men who have sex with men. C, anyone who's sexually active and engaged in unprotected sex.
C.
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 And depending on who you ask, the answer is
All of the above.
That's all.
C.
All of the
Yes, all of the above. Actually, all of the above. But depending on who you're asking, because when people think about HIV, they think about the gay man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the first thought that comes to mind. But we know that it's evolved to men, women, men of color, women of color, children. And so, again, the conversation needs to be had because medicine is at its top. It's the best it's ever going to get. But the conversation to get people to about it, education, we haven't caught up there yet. But anyone who's sexually active, so it may have been your 10-year-old who's fumbling around with a 17-year-old, that conversation needs to be had. Maybe that man or that woman who's getting married for the second time and dating. And who can define dating these days? There are no rules. Who can define marriage these days? Some marriages don't have rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the people involved don't even know it yet. Who says people over 65 can't have sex? Come on now. It's happening. Go check out some of
Really?
these places where people have, gonorrhea.
Yeah.
It's happening, but no one wants to talk about it.
Mhm.
And then lastly, how do you start PrEP? Ask your primary care provider. Again, they know your body. They got your lab report. They can tell you everything that's going on. But if they know so much about you internally, let's talk about the things that you're engaged in. Especially if you've had a provider more than 5-6 years, why not have that conversation? Or visit your local health departments because they all have the ability to get you on PrEP, get you on PEP, to screen you for STIs. But my favorite is the community-based organizations because we are out there in the community. We're not sitting in our offices waiting for the phone to ring. We're out in the community touching people who people will bypass on a daily basis. And I can't tell you, it's nothing more rewarding than speaking to someone who walks around with their head down all day long because no one would acknowledge them. But you tell them, hey, you're negative. or hey, you're positive, but let me make a phone call. Let me get you transportation tomorrow, and we get you treatment tomorrow. Why are you hungry? Let me give you this bag of food. Let me give you a pair of gloves, a sock. But the thing is, we're treating you as a person. We're showing you respect. We're allowing you to have your dignity. So for me, community-based organizations all day. And I thank you, ladies, for your time, and gentlemen. Our website, www.slkhealthcorp.org. We are in Atlanta, Maryland, open 7 days a week, because we realize everything doesn't happen between 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Happy hours, but before the pandemic, happy hours started, 7:30, 8 o'clock? The clubs open about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. The trouble starts about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And so when people get in trouble, they need to know, I need to talk to somebody right now. Talk me off of this cliff. You don't have to wait till Monday morning. You shouldn't have to wait till Monday morning, because you may miss that window if you've been exposed to someone. If you started on Thursday night, Friday night, you may have missed that 72-hour window to get treatment. And so we feel that being available to persons 7 days a week is the way to go in a county that's been recognized as having the highest rate of STIs in the past 20-year history, and been noted as one of the 48 jurisdictions in the country of having the highest rate of new infections of HIV. And so we've got to do more. So I say, ladies and gentlemen, let's get out of our comfort zones and talk to someone who has no clue about sexual health, much less HIV. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Sharon. And I'm glad you shared your website address, because I was going to ask, how do people get in contact with you, especially if they want to play the Sharon Show game with their loved ones. I thought that was a brilliant idea, and it's a really great way to get conversation going. Mm-hmm. If you have a link where people could access the Sharon
Show,
you could
I'll put it in the chat box now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much for that. And it seems like we have Ms. Erica Smith now back in the space. Ms. Erica, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay, we are glad that you were able to make it back. And we're going to, just in a moment, get ready to have you present and speak if you're ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So everyone, please welcome Ms. Erica Smith, Sister Survivor Speaks. Take it away, Ms. Smith.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Erica.
Hi.
Hi, Erica.
Hi. So
Hey, Erica.
Hi.
Peace be with you.
Thank you. So come May 6th, 2021, I'll be a survivor for 16 years now. And I'm blessed to still be alive and be able to fight through the stigma. But I'm actually glad to still be able to share my story with anyone that's willing to learn about HIV just being a stigma, not just being a statistic, basically. And my daughter, she's still my miracle child. And it's just been a journey. That's all I can say.
Tonight,
tell us some of your coping skills over the years, having learned at such a young age. You know, how your coping skills, and what do you want to say to those of us who are on the call now who may encounter young women who are positive, some who learn they're positive, some who may be younger than you. What would you suggest that they say to them? How to give us an idea of how, let's say, a counselor should tell them to deal. Well, deal is a very harsh word, I think. To cope, how they should cope. Who should they talk to? What are some of the things that they can expect? Because a lot of times we don't get a lot of young people. For years, I have searched for young people. You're the youngest person that we have been able to find as a survivor to speak. So I'm sure that counselors may also find it hard to actually get young people to cope because they're looking at such a long time in having a disease that they may not even understand. So how did you come about understanding and coping?
I say by me understanding and coping, I had a big support system. As far as my mom, my dad, my family, my friends, my kids, my church, just my community at all aspects. And just basically stepping out on faith and actually being prayed up and actually just taking it one day at a time to take your medicine and just to deal with the whole depression and everything that comes along with it. But the biggest thing is to have that big support system and somebody to actually guide you. And I thank Aunt Angie, I thank you, Miss Maggie, I thank you, Miss Carolyn. I thank the whole people that's on this Zoom call for being the support system that I needed. And by me dealing with this, I still can cope with my mind and my everything that I do on a daily basis, and not having people to judge me on just me being HIV positive. Just by me being able to just say, okay, well, a man can't accept me for who I am, regardless of just my outer appearance. So that's just how it is, basically.
Thank you, Erica. And I so love you. And you know, my little girl, Imani. And Erica, she does cope with this thing. She lives a full life. She is in Vegas. I see her in Atlanta, Trap Museum and everything. So she is thriving quite well through her journey. You know, even though I'm sure she has her bad days, everything I see or every time I see Erica, she is always upbeat and always willing to come and share. So thank you so much.
Before you go, Erica, this is Miss Carolyn. I just think you are one of the most courageous and strongest, most powerful young women that I know. You are living positively with the HIV, but I want you to know I saw you in Dubai. Maggie says she travels all over the world. Nothing stops her. But there may be someone that's listening tonight and they're just not quite there. Erica, what kind of advice would you give them if they are positive? What would you like to share with them?
Just keep yourself uplifted and be able to share with the next person of how you can have a good support system and how you can be able to survive through anything.
What about the person that feels that they won't ever find a companion, that no one will ever love them, that they won't be able to get a boo? We know that's not true.
You
talk to us about
get a boo anytime, any day. You can get one. It's just that you have to.
You're muted, sweetie.
You gotta be the right boo.
Yes, it has to be the right one that accepts you for you and love you for all of you.
Mommy.
I'm proud of you too, Erica, and I have seen your large family support at many of the in-house gatherings that programs that we've had. So it's wonderful. It's always wonderful seeing you.
You know what I want to say here real quick. Our last Women and Girls HIV Awareness Day was 1 year ago. 1 year ago was the same day that my mom's house burned down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at everybody, pretty much everyone, we're all here. Everyone who was in that room last year, we are still living. We made it through the pandemic. That was the smallest room we ever had. We was bunched up in there. But we're all here. And I just want to say how grateful I am for that and to see you all here. And we are still here and able to serve like ain't nothing stopped us, you know, pretty much. We're still here. So I just wanted to add that because that 1 year anniversary and we're still moving forward and everyone, no one here caught COVID. We didn't even know the extent of COVID on March 7th last year when we had that program. And we are shoulder to shoulder, bending down, hugging, taking pictures, you know, what we always do. But God blessed us to still be here. And that is wonderful. I'll be quiet.
Oh, no, thank you for that word, Mother Maggie. Thank you so much. And Sister Erica, thank you for sharing, and thank you for those words, especially the words about finding ways to create peace for yourself, and finding partners who align with you and support you and love the whole person. So thank you so much for that. We have about 15 more minutes left in our program officially. And we have a spoken word presentation from Miss Rel Nelson. I don't know, Rel, are you in the room? Have you arrived?
Okay, so since Rel is not here, I want to take the moment to shout out and thank Deidre Johnson, who is the Executive Director of Heart to Hand, for being here tonight. If you'd like to come in and say something, we would love to hear from you. But I do want to take the opportunity to really thank you for coming on board.
I'm always excited about any time that we're able to get together to talk about HIV. As you all know, I've been doing this work for 30 years and I'm just excited that you all are continuing to do this. I was looking at pictures, like you were saying, those pictures. I was looking at all the way back 2012. We've been working and doing this program together. And so we're just wanted to let you know that we're always here to support. And it is important that we all work together. Things are getting better in terms of access, but it is about communicating to individuals and talking to people and supporting them and getting into care and staying into care. We still have a lot of work to do. It is harder to identify a person that's HIV positive just because we have to test more people to identify one person. And so it's going to take us all to communicate with anybody you're around to have them to ask for that test, no matter where they are. So thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Miss Maggie. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. And one more question. Is the lady from Tri-County on, the executive director of the Tri-County? She'll know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of the organization. I was wondering if she's able to make it on tonight. The Tri-County or Tri-City is a consortium that services Maryland youth. Okay. All right. Angel, my angel.
Thank you, Mama Maggie, for turning it over. And we have one more powerful speaker for us tonight, Miss Angela Vick. Angela, let you unmute and speak for us. Are you ready?
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I do apologize. I'm multitasking here today. It's my third meeting back to back, but thank God I'm here and able to speak on behalf of my sisters for Sisters, because this is where I got I first started speaking I came with a friend of mine to a program that Carolyn and them were having on World AIDS Day. And I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I was going with a friend of mine. And she had, we had gotten there, and then I found out what it was about. And just, I was just kind of curious and scared because, that was my very first time there. But, I was sitting in the back and, it's just like God just kept pushing me like, get up and go, get up and do this. I got up and ate. I got up. They had a fashion show. We had the line dancing. It was really good and beautiful. Mm-hmm. So as I sat back down towards the end, Carolyn was up speaking. I wish I had the pictures to show. And she was speaking, and it was asking, did anyone have anything to say? And I wanted to, but I was scared. This was my very first time since finding out that I was positive. So, and let me go back a little bit to how I came about being positive. So at my church, Community of Hope, 2006, we were taking, it's our first time participating in people taking HIV and AIDS HIV test. Mm-hmm. So lo and behold, me and my two youngest sons had got tested, but my middle son, Rakeem, him and I had came back positive. Now, Rakeem was a senior at Friendly High School, a football jock, had just got a ride to go to North Carolina Central in Durham, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So we had to wait and go to, after, come back positive, we had to wait and then go to Baltimore that Monday, to take the blood test. And, during that time, Sister Vic was really deep in the church. And I just prayed. I just prayed and asked God, to just make me come back safe and let me just be able to, let me, I'm sorry, somebody's calling, and let me be able to carry it and not him, So, I prayed and I made, I told God that I would come and help all the kids at Central. I would come down here and let everyone know, because you know how kids are once you get away from your parents and it's your first year in college. Majority of them get kind of buck wild, and sex does play a big role in it. So all of those things I put out there, and that Monday we went, and the doctor was like, we have good news and bad news. So I told him, all right, well, let's hear it. So he was like, the good news is your son is negative. He said, but you're positive. And I was jumping up. I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you. He said, no, Miss Vic, you're positive. And I told him, I don't care because, I've been through everything. I can take this as long as my son wasn't, and he can start school and doesn't have to worry about, at that time, I didn't know anything about HIV or AIDS. I just thought it was death because I was still one of the persons that was stigmatizing it because I didn't know the information behind it as far as survival, tactics. So, moving forward, I registered at PG County to start my arts, to get my medicines and whatever. But what I did, I was ashamed, but I didn't want people to know where I was or what I had or anything. So I went all the way out to Silver Spring to a doctor where I was at. And lo and behold, it was somebody there that knew me. So I just came on back. That's when I went on the PG and just started, looking on the internet, trying to find places. And that's after when my friend had took me to where Carolyn and them was. So I walked up to the stage scared when she was last called for saying if anybody wanted to say anything. And I walked up there and I spoke for the very first time. And it's just, I got you know how you have a big load just taken off of your shoulder, and you know, the love and the warmth that I felt from being in that environment with Sisters for Sisters, it was like, it was mind-boggling. And it really made me aware that, hey, you know, things are really going to be all right, no matter if you're positive or not, because it was people in there that were probably positive. Everybody was having a good time. It didn't seem like anybody was sulking or whatever. So moving forward, I had gotten married. I met someone, I married him, and I thought he was the best thing in the world because he was going to marry me, and he knew I was HIV positive. And one of my things was, don't judge me, that when I found out that I was HIV positive, is certain things in sex that I like to do, you know, and I was like, wow, I'm not going to be able to do this, that, and the other because I'm HIV positive. I'm thinking like I'm poisoned. But then, you know, you get this guy to come along and he, you know, overlooks all of that. So, you know, we had sort of like a up and down relationship, and I always second guess if he was there to love me or was he just there for what the material things I had and where I lived at and whatever. So moving forward, we got separated, and I'm trying to think, does anybody remember back in 2012 or 13 when a lot of women in Maryland were getting murdered, getting killed? Do you remember that, Carolyn? Because I think me and you had spoke somewhere about that. You know, but anyway, that is going.
No, I absolutely remember because you and I was at a press conference right in front of the house where the young girl had gotten, her grandparents had gotten shot. Exactly. And you came to that press conference with me. Yes, I do recall.
Right. Okay, thank you. And at that time, I was experiencing another form of domestic violence. I wasn't being hit, but I was being threatened through the voicemails or, you know, through my phone. And, you know, I confided in Carolyn about that, her and another friend of mine. And, you know, I went on and took out those papers to get him, I forgot what it's called, but yeah, I took those papers out so he could stay away from me, stay away orders or whatever. And, you know, I was just really shook, you know, because he was showing a side of him that I've never known. And I just kept thinking, like, all these women, when they was getting killed, it was because of guys that were no longer in a relationship with the women, and the women had let them go. And I just was like, you know, my husband had snuck over there and damaged my car. And, you know, I didn't know if he was coming in and out of my house because the dog would let him in. It was just me in that big house. And, you know, I didn't want to tell my sons and cousins or anything because it would have been a real big thing, you know, with beating him up. But, you know, I went on and did that. And then I remember the day that I went there to court for that. And I had to call Carolyn to, you know, because I was really scared. I was really scared. I was thinking that he could snap like all those other guys had been snapping and kill me. So Angela, what is she? Is the commissioner? What is she now, Carolyn? Angela, Awesome. Yeah. They helped me and moved me from Maryland to Durham. And then I say that to say this, you know, I put that out there when I first got positive in 2006, what I told God I would do. Now, after God had seen that I was making way to do everything. Like I said, I was going to educate myself. I said I was going to go to meetings. I met Carolyn and them. Then I met another group that I was involved with, PWA, Positive Women, PWN, Positive Women Network. I found that on there. I had a friend that I met on Facebook, and she helped me. And, you know, it's just different people to help me to get to where I'm at now. I'm down here in Durham still. I got down here in 2014. My first thing was I was at Central and I was speaking to a group called Project Safe, which I still do today. I did a virtual meeting with them this year. So, and then I just joined a lot of organizations and just kept, trying to educate myself, as far as HIV, AIDS, PrEP, and all of that. And I'm currently on UNC Cure Cab, where I'm the co-chair. And we had some today, and Maggie and Erica came. So, I always like to give back and come and help, because these, Sisters for Sisters was the first place that I felt at that, where we were at Landover. I just really felt overwhelmed and loved, because, when I would tell people I was positive, they would break down and cry. Just cry. I tell somebody else, they'd cry. But then somebody had told somebody that I didn't tell, because I had told my kids. So I just went on and came out on Facebook one day. I told my own story, because I don't want nobody to tell my story. You can't tell my story. Only I can tell my story, because I'm living it and I'm going through it. So, like today we had a little thing, and, trying to reach out to people. And, people don't say nothing about me to me. They might say it away from me, or like when I had the thing on Facebook, they weren't there, but they were sneak looking. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because the stigma, people are so scared of going to get tested because they don't want somebody to know that they're positive. But you just don't understand. You are not going to die from HIV. I mean, you need to go and get tested, especially now with COVID out. Everybody was all bunned up last year. People were probably switching up being bunned up. Now you switching up with people from last year, and you're sleeping and unprotected, and you have, everybody worried about COVID, but we still should be worried about HIV, because we still need to know what our status is, to get on the meds early. And right now I take one pill. And I've always, and this is my shirt that I won in a contest that I had an essay. So they didn't have, oh gosh, I can't name the thing that Elizabeth Taylor started every year. Somebody can help me out. It's in DC every year. But I have won something, and, I come to do that. I come on Jones Street down here at the Capitol and try to, get some help from the lobbyists there, and just AIDS Watch. Thank you. Yes, that's what it is. And I really enjoyed going there, and then going to the Capitol and trying to get people, different congressmen and other, to pass bills. And like, I'm down here doing what I can. I really want to be home. I wish I could be home and do this, because I know people. It's either I'm Angie, Angel, or Sister Vic, or Miss Vic, or Coach Vic. And I can meet people where they are. But here, when you don't know people, you have to really kind of like meet people where they are. So the different organizations that I've been doing down here, and in the UNC Cure Cab, has really helped me to first, be able to understand, and then know how the doctors and the scientists are trying to find a cure by being on this Cure Cab. Now, the thing that really bothered me last week was getting the vaccine. Because I was like, okay, so how y'all gonna find a cure for COVID within a year? You got three different manufacturers, but you can't find anything for HIV or diabetes or anything else.
It's not a cure.
It's different strands. So I had to, I talked with one of my doctors, Dr. Nagolis, that heads that program, and he broke it down to me. So I went on and got that, got the first vaccine, because really my HIV does not bother me. My diabetes, though, I am so terrible with that. That is the worst. I take my sugar, and it's past 400 or 500. It just says high. So I struggle with that. I struggle with my asthma. I struggle with my thyroids. I've been taking my medicine like I have. So, HIV is just, it's just, to me, it's just a word because I take that pill. And that's all you have to do is take that pill. And even though they have the thing that's U equals U, and that's if you're undetectable, and you can have sex with someone and you're even without a condom. But I don't think that's even good too, because not unless you know what the next person's personal life is, and what their status is and where they at, whatever, because you could sleep with somebody and you're straight, but you still could end up getting something from them if they're positive or whatever. You just track. Everything will, you connect with them from being with them without a condom. And it's not healthy. It's not good because, you still can contract something yourself. So I just, wish that people would just stop the stigmatizing behind it. It's not the 70s. It's not the 80s. It's not going to kill you. Only thing is going to kill you is not getting the knowledge and understanding of this disease, and not only this disease, other diseases as well. So I thank you all for letting me briefly speak, and that's about it for right now.
Thank you so much, Sister Angela. That was a powerful testimony about determination, advocacy, and realness. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone have any questions?
And this is Carolyn. What would you say to our young people about the fact that they need to be careful and they need to be safe? How would you communicate that to them? Because they think they can just get away with anything. What would you say to them?
And I speak to like the groups at Central. They're more like 17, 18, just getting in. And I have had sessions at the apartment I used to live at. And when different holidays would come up as far as HIV and AIDS, I would have little events, and the parents would have to sign first before the kids can come to the meeting, because I get raw. I let them know exactly what it is. So like I tell them, it's having sex. You have to really, really know what they have. You can't just be jumping up and having sex with anybody that you see. You have to really take care of your body. And, if you're old enough and you're having sex, I would tell them, look, go get tested. It's not hard. It's very easy. It's quickly, I would, really encourage them to get tested. Now, as far as the kids at the colleges, now I just paint you this scenario of young kids going to college, say young girls going to college, they first time, they free, they ain't got to worry about their parents, they doing what they want. They want to belong because they haven't been out there and experienced anything in the world. So you want to belong, and then you got the jocks on the football team come by and show you some kind of, hey girl, how you doing, whatever. And you end up with that person, but that person could have been with everybody else because, he's quote unquote jock. And, you can get something by that. So, a lot of kids just do stuff just to belong. And when I have the meetings and speak with them, I just get really raw with them to the point where they could understand, where I'm coming from. So, you got to really meet people where they are, and you have to feel your way. As far as getting ready to conversate, are you going to captivate that audience to listen at what you have to say, especially a younger generation like that? I remember one time I told my granddaughter, I think last year, she was 12 or 13, that I was HIV positive. She bust out laughing. I was like, what are you laughing at? She said, I learned that in school. I said, well, that's what I have. She said, oh, so that's telling me she didn't learn anything because, first of all, she wouldn't have bust out laughing at me. And second, she wouldn't have just said, oh, she would have had some kind of dialogue, is to say about that. So, down here, I do speak with a lot of youths. I do speak at Central, but with this COVID and then moving from the apartments where I'm at over on this side, it's, it's really hard. Like I'm a homeless advocate as well. So when I'm out here meeting, different people that are homeless, the first thing I ask, look, you want to get an HIV test, or, are you positive, or have you got tested or whatever? But, that goes to say, just like trying to get them to get the COVID test right now, it's hard and it's free and it's right there. So, people are going to form their opinion in their mind, and it's really hard to break that, not unless the people just educate themselves like I had to do to learn everything that I've done, as far as to get where I'm at now. So, I just try to stay focused and do what I can as far as, spreading the information about HIV and AIDS. But I would encourage everyone to still, especially now, to go get tested. You're out here and COVID will bring you to do a whole lot of things you would never necessarily do with whoever. You know what I'm saying? Loneliness brings on a lot of sexual activities. So, I just would, tell them to just watch out and be careful and take being, knowing your status seriously. That's about it.
Thank you for that, Sister Angela. We are a little bit over time, so we're not going to take any additional questions, but I encourage who did speak to put your email address or contact information in the chat box. If you're comfortable with it, you have to. And then folks can follow up with Miss Sharon at SKL, or they can follow up with Deidre at Heart to Hand, and of course, Sister4Sisters. So you have 3 entities represented here that you can follow up with for testing, for prevention services or care services. So be sure to put your contact information in the chat if you want to be contacted. And I'm going to turn it over to Mama Maggie, who is going to take us on home for the evening.
Okay, but before we do that, who participated in the drawing and who has some red shoes on?
I have red shoes.
Because we do have a gift card, $25 gift card to anyone who participated in the drawing. Anyone participate other than me, I can't take the prize. So did anyone else other than me take advantage of this?
I do have the red shoes. Can you see them, or do I need to?
Oh, that's fine. You can just do like me. I got the red shoe too.
Can you see them?
Yep.
Okay.
So I know how to get in contact with you, so I'll make sure that you get that $25 gift card. Did anyone participate in the drawing? Other than me and Daryl? Well, I can't take that either. But Daryl did a drawing. So I'm just going to say that for his participation and thanking for his nice artwork, then Daryl will get the other $25 gift card.
Daryl, I love your art. I do.
Well, he's not there. Albie done took this. Oh, here he is. I was going to take that gift card.
Yeah, I thought I saw him moving.
So I want to I see a lot, as I said earlier, I see a lot of new names and faces, and I am so appreciative of that. It is very important that we all the organizations work together. Now, there is another organization that is having an event tomorrow night. If someone is on here and just can briefly tell us about that. After that, we will close out in prayer from Reverend Dana, and we will all be in contact because we are all in this fight together. So is there anyone on from the church tonight that's having an event tomorrow? Okay. And what I'll do, everyone has received an email from me at some time or another, so I will forward that information out tomorrow. So now we will close. Thank you, my angel, as always, and we will be in touch very soon. Just listening here, I have some ideas for your project as well, for our joint project as well. So Reverend Dana, I'm calling on you again.
Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing Sisters for Sisters thus far by faith. We thank you for the Saving Our Sisters programs. We thank you for this day and this opportunity to connect, to educate, and to provide information about prevention and treatment. We thank you for all that has been done. We thank you for everyone that has participated in this program. You know each one of our needs better than we. We ask that you supply those needs. Lord, where there is a need for healing, touch with your healing balm. We thank you and we bless you and we praise you. Strengthen us so that we may continue to stay connected, love one another, and spread the word that you are able to keep those who want to be kept, body, mind, and spirit. And Lord, we pray that your will be done in our lives. Give us the strength to keep on keeping on and spreading the word, spreading the love. Ashe. Amen.
Ashe.
Amen. Okay, so good night, everyone.
Good
And
night.
have a good evening and a great end of the week.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Thank you again
Enjoy
for the
program.
invitation.
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you all. God bless you.
Love y'all.
Y'all stay well.
Good night, son.